Hello, readers, and welcome to Shelf Help. Oh, the joy of finding something new. Not something I heard about in various book-centered corners of the internet, just one I picked up off the shelf because it sounded interesting. The Imaginary Corpse is the story of Detective Tippy, of the Stuffed Toy Detective Agency, a stuffed yellow triceratops out to solve mysteries and save imaginary friends. The back of the book says it's Toy Story meets Sin City. Personally, I would have used the Dresden Files and the Velveteen Rabbit, but those are a little lesser known in the wider consciousness. Tippy lives in the world of the still real, where imaginary friends go when they leave their person. Not all imaginary friends end up in the still real. Friends that are lost naturally as the person simply outgrows them fade away. Those that end up in the still real are the ones that lost their person to sudden trauma. When something happens that changes the person's worldview so suddenly that their imaginary friend no longer fits. For Tippy, it was a car wreck on a rainy day that killed his person's father. Tippy was a gift from the father, a stuffed yellow triceratops that became a detective as his person tried to work out why Daddy takes so many business trips and comes home smelling like cologne and it makes Mommy sad. Tippy hates the rain. It reminds him of the day he lost his person. And content warning? Every friend in this story is like this. One-sentence horror stories that will waltz in, pop you upside the head, and walk back out. Domestic violence, suicide, and substance abuse are just a few that crop up. Not all friends are from young children. There's an entire location called Avatar City full of superheroes and villains. There is an urban fantasy location full of werewolves and vampires. Hex Dimension is for D&D characters, which is fun. And some friends come with their own home location, like kids' cartoons greatly loved by their creator, but never made. But there was something quietly disconcerting when you see friends who are drawn with crayon, or are nonverbal because their person was nonverbal. Now, for all the underlying horror, the setting is rather whimsical. Tippy is, of course, a stuffed yellow triceratops, and he uses his detective stuff to solve mysteries. Detective stuff is, for all intents and purposes, magic, because his person was 8 years old and didn't know how actual detective work was done. He's also a hard drinker, and by hard drink, I mean root beer floats. And he makes his home in Playtime Town. Playtime Town is a big city by way of a kindergarten playground. Soft edges, simple shapes, bright colors, and smiling faces on everything. It has poor districts and slums, but cozy and familial, instead of bleak and oppressive. It's got dark alleys, but the shadows are as threatening as the ones under your favorite blanket. And the criminals are just there to learn valuable life lessons they can impart to you. It's a big American city, as described by someone who loves the city to its core. Its joys are supercharged and its ills are downplayed, and everything is all set for you to have an adventure that will never ever really hurt you. So who's ready for some slow dawning horror? The story opens with screaming corn, a child's nightmare that calls itself, Tippy asks for their pronouns, Spindleman, has been abruptly thrust into the still real, and doesn't know how or why. Spindleman has taken up haunting a barn of an evil cartoon farm from an unmade children's cartoon, and is scaring the corn. There is no discrimination between imaginary friends and nightmares in the still real. If you were real enough to your person to end up in the still real, you are a friend. Tippy helpfully gets the little guy out of the barn and set up in an apartment in Playtime Town, right across the street from Tippy's own building. Which is fortunate, because Tippy is awakened in the night by the sounds of a break-in. He is in time to witness a friend, a shadowy nightmare of a man in a coat with a wide-brimmed hat and poisonous green eyes, use a baseball bat to beat Spindleman to death. It's not gruesome or gory. It's just a few swings of the bat. With a pop like a balloon, Spindleman ceases to exist. Friends don't die in the steel realm. Not really. Something may happen to them, and they disappear for a day or two, a week at most. But they always come back. Spindleman doesn't come back, and he wasn't the first. Steel Real has met its first ever serial killer. The man in the coat isn't an indiscriminate killer, though he will kill those who get in his way. He's hunting friends like the Spindleman, newly arrived to the Steel Reel, newly lost from their person, who are clearly very young. He only says 2 words, drink, and fine. And wherever he appears, broken tea sets do as well. It falls to Tippy to stand between friends and fiend, as he learns what this new being truly is, where he comes from, and what it means for the Steel Reel and the real alike. But Tippy isn't alone. He has friends, like Miss Mighty, a superhero from Avatar City, who is the power character we all had as teenagers. The character that has all the powers and the perfect combination of Superman, Sailor Moon, and Spider-Man. Possibly also a vampire to be extra edgy. My original character, TM, do not steal. Don't look at me like that, you did it too. Once the symbol of courage and justice for her person, Miss Mighty is who Tippy turns to when he needs a little muscle. They bonded over their 6th sense, his detective stuff and her Mighty sense. I like Mighty, despite the fact she is probably the most blatant Mary Sue character I've ever seen. First, because she works it for the setting. Like I said, we all had that character at some point. In the world of lost imaginary friends, I totally see someone like her being there. Hell, she isn't even the only one. Second, she's not overused. She's there when the bad guy needs to be punched. And despite the fact she could ass pull any superpower without surprising me, she isn't the solution here. There's also Spider-Hand. They're a knockoff of Thing from the Addams Family, and serve as a teetotaler to Tippy's hard-drinking ways. Literally. They love tea parties, collecting teacups, and playing the piano. Spider-Hand is always there to cheer Tippy up and lend, well, a hand. I'm sure loving tea like the serial killer will have no long-term implications. None whatsoever. Then there are friends who are also villains, like Dr. Atrocity and Big Business. Dr. Atrocity is the science to Miss Mighty's muscle, the Lex Luthor to her Superman, who makes her hide out in an observatory shaped like a skull, something Miss Mighty conveniently never noticed, and can make objects permanent in the Steel Reel when they should fade away. Her relationship with Mighty is interesting. I don't know if they arrived as a set, or if they just drifted together because the greatest hero and villain need each other. It is a love-hate relationship. Atrocity tries to destroy the city, Mighty tries to stop her, she captures Mighty and straps her to the death ray, because of course she has a death ray, and Mighty escapes and saves the day. And the next day, they do it all over again. They define each other so much that when Mighty is badly hurt fighting the man in the coat, it's Atrocity that saves her. Big Business is either the collective understanding of capitalism or possibly Lucifer. He even has fact-finder minions who look like men in suits when you're looking directly at them, and like eldritch horrors when not. Big Business's office is all the proof I need that Big Business started as a nightmare. The angles are the giveaway. The whole room's perspective is shifted, so the oak desk in front of the ceiling-to-floor windows is the central focus, standing bigger and better lit and more expensive than anything else in the room. The only furniture besides the desk is 2 chairs. A big fancy leather one behind the desk and a bland gray one parked in front of it. The windows look out over the heart of business. Every street, every building, reminding you that this one is by far the tallest. Other two walls are lined with books, names on their spines like power and domination and submit. You know, in case the rest of the room didn't put you in your place. The steel reel does not use conventional currency because so many friends are too young to understand money. Instead, they use favors. Big business sells information on everything. He makes his home in the heart of business, part of Steel Reel. A city of dark skyscrapers and no plants, where it's always the last minutes before the close of business, where bureaucracy is used like a scalpel to the heart. I know I made a capitalism is bad joke in my last video, but this one turns it up to 11. This story is candy-coated horror. From the underlying tragedy of every friend's experience to the existential terror of what the man in the coat is and why he's hunting the friends of children. This is a top shelf. Tippy is the sort of cop we think of as children. He's kind, caring, brave, and willing to sacrifice himself for others. I cannot stress how much I love this setting. The variety of characters and locations, a childhood logic juxtaposed to childhood trauma. It's film noir meets My Little Pony. I desperately need another adventure with Detective Tippy. Thank you for your time. Let me know how I can improve your shelf.